Does Code Veronica need a remake? Will the fact that it took me 4 attempts to finish Code Veronica in the span of about 2 to 3 years heavily influence my opinions of the game? Resident Evil Code Veronica is... Well, let's review the game retrospectively to find out. I'll discuss the gameplay, then the story, then the characters. Additionally, I will discuss the graphics and art style and review the music and OST. Finally, I will answer the big question I opened this video with. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and hype so more people can see it. Please check out my channel for other great content and subscribe if it floats your boat. Right, let's get into the main course of this video. Let me dive into my history with Code Veronica. So I bought the digital version on PS4 or 5 in 2022 I think. I went in kind of blind. During the QF, I watched Bork play the game and thought this game seems fun. Sometime later, I had also watched a no damage run of Code Veronica from Carcinogen SDA and I was like, this game looks really cool. But this was many months before I bought CVX, so I basically forgot everything about it. Code Veronica is difficult, and if you are someone who gets frustrated easily when it comes to backtracking, annoying enemies, puzzle-heavy gameplay, you might find Code Veronica to be the most frustrating Resident Evil game of all time. I was this someone. Every time I picked up CVX just to put it back down again, it was typically because of the reasons above, but I promised myself on one of these times I would beat the game, and eventually I did. I think on my 4th full-on attempt. I did it on my PC with emulation. I do own a physical copy of CVX on PS2 because I had a phase of wanting to collect lots of physical copies of Resident Evil games, but that's besides the point. Between the time of my first attempt and the time as of writing this script, my outlook on Code Veronica has changed drastically. I like it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it like I used to.
How the turntables...
I used to view it as a black and white game, meaning you either love it or hate it, with no in between. There's much nuance to this game. Now let's dive into Code Veronica properly. Gameplay. My thoughts on the gameplay. I am a supporter of fixed camera angles, so I will forever love that about Resident Evil Code Veronica. On a first playthrough, those fixed camera angles invoked my nerves. Being aware yet unaware what awaits you because you can hear a potential enemy but you can't see it will always be a great way to invoke fear into players via fixed camera angles. I appreciate the dynamic camera that this game smoothly implements, as I think the developers realized that they needed to innovate and bring something new to the table with fixed camera angles. Ink ribbons return. I am a fan of them as they really promote resource management, thinking before acting and planning out your inventory and route before leaving a save room. A classic survival horror mechanic implemented well in this game. But when you play using an emulator, ink ribbons become obsolete. So I would recommend on your first run of CVX to use ink ribbons if you are emulating. It's a very difficult game when you play it as intended by the developers.
I'll do the best I can with what I got. Oh!
I like the weapon variety. Obviously it doesn't compare to RE4 OG and Remake, but there's still a good assortment of armaments here. I've heard from others that Code Veronica's knife is one of the best knives in the series because it can slash through multiple enemies unlike previous titles. I haven't tested that for myself, but I trust people who make the claim. So yeah, the knife is pretty good when you have the skills and practice and time. The number of puzzles and the difficulty of some of them is very good, especially for a classic Resident Evil game. I think the best one is the Ashford family portraits puzzle. I found it to be a little difficult, but the overall method to solve it is actually good and engaging. I like the record player puzzle too, just because of the sweet tune that plays when you place the record down on a record player in the Ashford twins' respective rooms. I find the backtracking a bit tedious and confusing, especially during my first few attempts at completing the game. I have to talk about the shared item box mechanic. You are not warned before swapping to Chris as part of the campaign about the item box being shared between Chris and Claire. This means that whatever Claire took out of the item box for the Nosferatu boss fight stays with her until you get control of her again. On one of my initial attempts, Claire kept the grenade launcher and the bowgun on her, so when I was playing as Chris, it was quite tough and probably one of the reasons why I scrapped that attempt at completing the game.
What's going on? Doctor?
I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done. Take me off. Take me off. Cut the show.
It's not the worst mechanic in the world. The developers just should have made players more aware of this mechanic for an initial playthrough. Areas of the game. So there are two main areas in Code Veronica, namely Rockford Island and the Antarctic base. I will discuss certain sub-areas of the two main areas. Let's make a start. The prison area of Rockford Island. This starting area of the game really promotes that Code Veronica is going to be an action-heavy survival horror game. From the number of enemies around in the prison area to the fact that you get the M100P so soon into the game. I find the alloy puzzle a bit tedious due to the backtracking and having to leave all the metallic items in the safety deposit box. That box just feels like a mechanic to pad out the runtime.
And that's on a period.
The military training area of Rockford Island. I like the part where you play as Steve, but I wish it was a little longer. Going guns blazing on the zombies is very cathartic. I like the skeleton painting with the code on it puzzle, but I dislike the backtracking it requires, as with most puzzles in the game. I do like that there are some areas Claire does not get access to, but Chris does. It makes going through the area less of a rehash and more of a surprising foray. The Palace of Rockford Island. I like the palace art style wise. It's quite run-of-the-mill gameplay wise, besides the Ashford family portraits puzzle. You just pick up a few items here and there, unlock some doors here and there. I do like the computer puzzle to unlock the pathway to the Ashford twins' residence though. The Ashford residence of Rockford Island. It's quite bare bones, but I think it has the creepiest vibes out of all the areas in the game. A few zombies here and there, the bats fluttering about, and the giant monstrosity as you enter the residence. I wish there was more to do in the residence, but I feel like the developers focused more on quantity of areas rather than quality of areas.
No shade.
Now let's talk about the areas of the Antarctic base. Claire's segments of the Antarctic base. I like exploring the Antarctic base with Claire. The only thing I can't stand is the moths outside of the save room. Hasn't she already suffered enough on Rockford Island?
What more do you want from me?
And the fact that the blue herbs are in the same room as the moths is ironic and ridiculous. I like the gas mask bit. Really tense and thrilling. I like that we get Alfred's rifle, even if it is just for the Nosferatu fight. I kind of wish we got to play as Steve here and exploring any parts of the base that Claire didn't or couldn't with him. Chris's segments of the Antarctic base. I love the Spencer Mansion replica. I think it's one of the best callbacks and nostalgia bait moments in the franchise. I can't believe they did that only 4 years into the series. Superb. I hate the ants though. Very annoying and they make me feel itchy. No tasty.
I'm just gonna start off by saying, like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, like, I honestly feel bad for you. Like, I cannot explain it. Like, I don't have the vocabulary to sit here and explain. Like, either you get the vibe or you don't get the vibe.
Let's talk about some of the enemy types. Zombies. Some are slow, some are fast. Most you should just run past. Zombie dogs. Annoying as usual. Avoid them or end them. Just don't stay near them. Bandersnatchers.
A lot of fun. Let's get started. Our first caress.
Top 5 annoying enemies in all of Capcom games. I haven't played all Capcom games, but you get what I'm trying to say. I think with practice and having the RNGesus on your side, Bandersnatchers are tolerable. AKA, you need to be a lucky speedrunner. The Gulp Worm.
Somebody really laid into me. They was pause.
The best thing to do with this enemy is to run around it. Avoid it. I find it to be a nuisance enemy. It's a cool way of keeping the players on their toes, but after passing it so many times, the Gulp Worm is like the wind. You just breeze through, or past it rather. The fight Chris has with it at the start of his gameplay to save Rodrigo is a cool way to let players know the action in this game is here to stay, no winding down now. Spiders, aka Black Widows. I don't have severe arachnophobia, like I'm not one of those people who turn off a game when spiders appear on the screen. That being said, I don't like the spiders. I prefer the ones from RE 1, 2 and 3. The creepiness from their hairiness and overall design is much better in my opinion. The humongous Black Widow that Chris fights is scary enough, I suppose. Moths. Annoying, friggin' enemies. Why? Just why? They make me dread Disc 2 or Part 2 of Code Veronica so much. Hunters. If you don't leave the grenade launcher for Chris before you stop playing as Claire, hunters can be a real pain. I know Chris can get the shotgun, but getting that weapon is a little tedious due to the staircase contraption and navigating the training area on Rockford Island with Chris. The grenade launcher makes it way easier to get through the island and in quicker time too. Sweepers. Enemies that are built like hunters and can poison you. No thank you, Capcom, you can keep them.
Jeez! Jesus Christ.
The Tyrant. Bruh, this Tyrant is a trip. The first encounter where even if you knock him down, he won't let you pass until you knock him out is hella annoying. The second boss encounter with him is even more cooked if you ain't got enough ammo. The gas rounds come in clutch with the plane encounter for sure. I've heard that the Tyrant encounters are another part besides the Chris shared item box mechanic that have made people hard reset or just quit the game entirely.
What's going on? Doctor?
I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done. Take me off. Take me off. Cut the show.
Nosferatu. This boss fight is really cool, but so annoying too. The arena is also kind of your op, because if Nosferatu pushes you, you can fall off the edge to instant deletion. Nosferatu and his poison attacks are jarring to say the least. Besides the negatives, it's cool that the game provides Alfred's rifle as a way to defeat his father. I typically land most shots but still have to use the knife or handgun or machine gun to finish him off. Albinoid Adult. My approach to this fight is to not fight it at all. Get in and get out. Chris is on a time crunch to save his sister after all. I appreciate the devs at Capcom for making this boss fight optional, more or less. Mutated Steve. It's not really a boss fight, but I still want to mention it because Steve didn't deserve to go out like that, even if he is somewhat of a creep. I typically get hit when running from Mutated Steve and have to use 2 to 3 heals. I'm aware of the strategy that avoids Claire taking damage, but I just haven't tried it. I think Claire having to fight him in a full-on boss fight would have been heartbreaking, but it feels like the devs may have run out of time or just chose not to implement it for whatever reason. Alexia Ashford and her free forms. Her first boss fight is okay. Her near one-shot moves are a pain, but it's just a fight where you have to get good. She is a formidable force in all her encounters and forms. Her final boss fight and its first phase is kinda ridiculous. Those little critters following you around whilst you're just trying to reduce Alexia's HP is more tedious than challenging. I'm just glad Chris gets the line launcher and blasts third and final form Alexia to smithereens. I was so tired of her and the whole game by my 4th attempt at completing Code Veronica. Story. So let's talk about the story. I will link some lore videos regarding Code Veronica in the description. There are plenty of YouTubers who can explain the lore of CV in autistic detail, which is ironic coming from someone who is actually on the spectrum.
Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Here are my takes and opinions on Code Veronica's story. The intro sequence is an intense way to start a game and its story. I just wish we could have spent time playing it rather than just watching it play out. I like that it is shown Claire is still in contact with Leon. It would have been cool to have a cutscene with Leon reading Claire's email and then contacting Chris. That being said, this is where the story gets me very confused. The whole thing with Claire's story in 1998 is that she's looking for her brother. If she had the ability to contact him through Leon, why didn't she just do that to begin with? None of the story for this game is necessary when you think about that question. Rodrigo being helped by the Redfields is sweet, but he perishes anyway. He reminds me of Marvin, not just because they're both black, but because they didn't have to help you. They had their own mortality to deal with, and yet they still chose to do a noble act or acts before their eyes permanently closed. Characters like these are always cool to me, regardless of race. Steve swaying between being annoying and lusting after Claire is very jarring, but I guess that's how they wanted to characterize a teenage boy trapped on a military island. Hunk being mentioned in a note is really cool. The Ashford family story is interesting, but some more cutscenes could have done their story more justice and brought about even more interest with me. What Alexia and I think Alfred to some extent did to their father is horrendous. Instead of going after Claire and Steve, Nosferatu should have gone after Alexia. Wesker taking Steve's body for research, which leads into the events of RE5, is such an important lore moment that should be explored deeper in the remake. Wesker could have had a moment where he explained to Chris how he survived, but I get why they left it open to interpretation at this point in the series. Bringing back a fan favourite character after a more than likely exit doesn't always need a solid explanation due to fans just being ecstatic that their favourite character is back. You know you're a good antagonist when a good percentage of fans would rather see you come back again and again rather than permanently dealt with. Steve's transformation and demise is heartbreaking. He was a kid. He never asked for any of this. Despite his creepiness, I feel like Claire did like him a little bit. They could have been a cute item if it weren't for his fate. I think if the story was written better and more cohesively, it could be really great. Code Veronica contains a lot of important lore for the original timeline, and fans should be more aware of its impact on the RE titles that followed it.
You thought you ate that?
Claire Redfield.
This is a potential mother.
Mother. Her fashion is tea. The red motif in all of her fashion is so cool and reminds me of Ada. They both have that red thing going on. She is too brave though, if you ask me. How are you going to shoot flammable tanks when you're currently in the same room as said tanks? How are you infiltrating the European offices of a multinational corporation and you're armed? I can tell you one thing, she loves Chris Redfield more than anything. I think their bond is beautiful and should have been explored in other games. I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 6, Biohazard 6, Resident Claire who? Evil. Steve Burnside. I feel so bad for Steve, I really do. That being said, he's a friggin' creep. What was he trying to do to Claire after the plane crash and she was sleeping next to him? Like, I get it, he likes her and he's a teenage boy, but I think that scene just makes people dislike him even more than they already do. He is a character you want to sympathize with, given he's still a kid and his father got him into this predicament, but certain characterizations, dialogue, story moments and voice acting delivery just make Steve Burnside a tough character to engage with. I think if his voice actor had gotten better direction and practice or training, he could have smashed the role. I wish Mr. Burnside made it out though. He could have had the opportunity to turn his life around and maybe work with Chris in taking down Umbrella. He had all the motivation needed given what happened to his parents. What ifs, am I right?
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Alfred Ashford. Or should I say Alexia Ashford? Just kidding.
Tell me, who do you work for? Who sent you? Have it your way then. You're just a rat in a cage anyway. I'll be sure to keep you entertained before I dispose of you. Alexia. Alexia, you're finally awake. Alexia.
Right, this guy is actually insane. From what I've read in the notes where other people describe him, he is... Leon, help me out here.
He is batshit crazy.
It's like human lives mean nothing to him. It's like they're ants that can be stepped on without a second thought. I think his adoration for his twin sister could have been wholesome, but it comes off as very incestuous and demonic if you ask me. This is a Resident Evil game, so I shouldn't expect antagonists to have any wholesome elements to them. Typically, Resident Evil villains are not morally grey. Given the fact that Alfred dressed up as his sister, possibly believes himself to be his sister, deletes people like they're ants, tries to delete our Queen Claire multiple times, is enough reason to prove that Claire has all rights to call him a...
But I cannot let you escape now.
Alfred, you cross-dressing freak!
No shade to anyone or any group before people start coming for me in the comments. No one should claim Alfred. He's literally insane. Chrisredfield.
And my man, thank you to my man.
When Chris gets to the top of the mountain-esque area on Rockford Island and says, "He became my favourite version of Chris Redfield for some time." I love how aggressive his personality is in this game. You can tell he feels very strongly for his little sister and is disgusted that she has had to be dealing with Umbrella like he has been since July of 1998. I think he is characterized well here, and his personality is more emphasized compared to his RE1 OG counterpart. The voice acting is T, his costume is a bit generic, his model is fine, but in the FMV cutscenes his hair looks a bit kooky to me. Anyway, I'll love Chris forever and always. Albertwesker. When I saw Wesker violently interacting with Claire, I said to myself, where is Chris when you need him? I mean, let's be real, Chris couldn't really do much besides distract him, but it just feels awkward as the player to watch Wesker beat up Claire. Wesker said equal rights and lefts. His fight with Wesker at the end of the game could have been an interesting playable moment, but watching Chris stand up for his sister and all those he lost just shows how much of a hero he is and how much of a female dog Wesker is. Wesker only has the upper hand on Chris due to his powers. His accent in this game is very peculiar, but I like it nonetheless. Alexia Ashford. She's a mad woman, a mad scientist, mad. With such intelligence, she could have helped the world with ailments like cancers or chronic illnesses, but she chose to work on viruses and provide her body and some of her lifetime to virus research. Her relationship with her twin brother and Claire and Chris's relationship starkly contrast each other. This contrast emphasizes how creepy and evil the Ashford twins are and how wholesome and aspiring the Redfield siblings dynamic is, making players of Code Veronica appreciate them so much more and happy to see them both back in a Resident Evil sequel installment. Graphics and art style. The graphics are solid, and with a few tweaks here and there, RE Code Veronica could pass as an indie game's graphics in today's day and age. Claire having multiple models such as the cutscene model, the in-game model and the FMV model are really telling of the video game industry's progressive focus on graphics even back in the year 2000. I like the art style of certain areas like the Ashford residence, the palace and the military training area. The Ashford residence's art style gives me Devil May Cry 1 vibes, so it gets a golden stamp of approval from me.
We do not care.
The art style of these areas makes me want to stare at the walls and appreciate the care and craft of the developers who worked on the graphics and art style of Code Veronica each time I replay it. Reviewing the music and OST. A Moment of Relief is quite possibly the best save theme in the Resident Evil universe. When I first heard it, it moved me. I think it's the best because it's soothing, just soothing. It doesn't have as much of that feeling the other save themes give you where you feel safe, but there's an element of the save theme that reminds you that you're in danger once you go back out there. I hope I worded that as clearly as possible.
I'm just gonna start off by saying, like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, like, I honestly feel bad for you. Like, I cannot explain it. Like, I don't have the vocabulary to sit here and explain, like, either you get the vibe or you don't get the vibe.
The OST, along with many of the classic RE titles, focus on 80s inspired action films, sounds, themes, and music, which is fantastic in my opinion. Sometimes they can be over the top, but it's okay because every Resident Evil game must have cheesiness, even in its soundtrack. Does Code Veronica need a remake? Yes it does, unquestionably. My main reason for saying yes is that it's incredibly important to the OG lore and motivations of some of the most important protagonists and antagonists in the franchise, namely Chris and Wesker. There are a lot of fans who aren't fully aware of the story and incredible gameplay moments during the game's runtime. While I don't believe tank controls, fixed camera angles, and aged graphics should stop actual gamers from playing a classic, I respect people's preferences and hope that they can experience the experience that is Resident Evil Code Veronica. As someone who took 4 attempts over 2 to 3 years to complete Code Veronica, trust and believe this game needs a remake pronto. A PC port would be nice too. While we're on the topic of ports, Sony, port Bloodborne to PC or release Bloodborne 2 right now, like right this minute, please. I would like to briefly discuss what I would like to see in a Resident Evil Code Veronica remake. Let me know what you guys think about my thoughts. Let's go. Camera angles. I would love if we got 3 camera angle options: the classic fixed camera angle, the modern over-the-shoulder camera angle, and the immersive first-person camera angle. The replay value would be amazing, and it makes sense if Capcom follows along with Requiem's options to change the camera in-game through the options menu. Gameplay. They need to implement the shared item box mechanic between Claire and Chris a lot better in the remake. Perhaps you would get a prompt warning you to be careful which items you take when fighting Nosferatu, as you can't put these items back in the item box for a lot of Chris's upcoming sections. Another idea is just to let you send the items back to the item box virtually, like how Resident Evil 7 Biohazard lets you change around your inventory each time you lose against the 3rd Jack boss fight. It would be cool if there were more moments where Claire and Steve have to work together to solve puzzles or clear a room / path of enemies or even handle a boss together. I hope the backtracking is handled a bit better than the OG. I hope the map is similar to RE4 or RE Requiem's map design and functionality. I hope we get an extra mode where you can play as Wesker like in RE0's remastered edition. The Mercenaries is a must too, with having Alfred and Alexia as playable characters, as well as Claire, Chris, Steve, Wesker, and Hunk. Bosses. I would love a proper boss fight with Alfred. I hope they make him just as silly as he was in the OG, just with some better writing. I hope that they keep the cross-dressing freak line, because he is, and he tried to kill Claire multiple times, so she has all rights to say it. Certain groups should not see it as a dig towards them, because it's not made clear whether Alfred identifies a certain way or not. At the end of the day, he is just a maniac who does not care for human life and has implied incestuous relationship with his sister. No group should be trying to claim him as far as I'm concerned. Story. We need a cutscene explicitly showing Leon receiving Claire's email or message and him contacting Chris, setting up the later second half of the game's events. Steve's character needs to be reworked, rewritten, and we rebuke his OG character's creepiness. Well, This is all I have to say about Code Veronica for now. My affinity for this game goes up gradually the more I rewatch my playthroughs or when I just replay the game again. Code Veronica is a grower and a shower, but it can take a few attempts to get to the point of liking what you see and are playing with.
Well, your mouse better get over there and make Torvald happy.
Phrasing?
See, I'm telling you, I have the mind of a I have the mind of a mastermind. What's that? I don't know, but I'm so creative like that.
I look forward to seeing and interacting with the discourse surrounding this video, RE Code Veronica and its potential remake. Again, please like, comment, share and hype this video so more of you beautiful people can see it and bring about further discussion surrounding this game and its potential remake. Please check out my channel and read my bio. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Much love and respect to all. God bless you and goodbye.